Okay, so, Kira, all I want you to do is look at this equation. It is not in standard form. Is there anything standing out to you about why this can't be in standard form right now?
You can't have fractions.
I can't have fractions. So that's all I was going to ask you before. So here's the trick about if you can't have fractions, you can take both sides of the equation and you can multiply by whatever number you want. But we want to multiply by something that's going to cancel out the denominators. What number can I multiply is going to cancel out a 2 on the bottom? 2 over 1, but 2, yeah. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2. I'm going to double everything, and I'm going to get 2y equals negative 7x minus 11. Is this in standard form? Nah, Terry, why not? Okay, so I don't just like move it. How do I get it over there? Add 7x. Add 7x to both sides. We'll have 7x plus 2y equals 11, right? No? Okay, so I'm going to make mistakes here. Most of the time they're on purpose. Wink. And when I make a mistake, your job is to be like, nope, that's not right. You don't want me to like make a mistake and have that wrong answer. And then everybody else is sitting around like, is that the right answer? I don't know what's going on. I make mistakes. Okay? So if I make a mistake, you guys tell me. That looks good. Alright. Last section. Oh my gosh, sorry. Parallel lines, perpendicular lines. Parallel lines. They never intersect. What else do you know about parallel lines?
They go on. Right now, my car alarm is going on. The person next to me hit my car door with their door. Yeah.
Okay. Do they like call you down the office?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like the last 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Parallel lines never intersect. What else?
They go on forever.
Well, lines go on forever, but what about parallel lines? I can hear it. I don't know who's saying it. Same slope. Right. We're talking about slopes right now. They have the same slope. So it says lines are parallel if and only if their slopes are equal, meaning same slope. Second, two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if. So we've got two non-vertical lines are perpendicular. You know in geometry they're going to make a 90-degree angle. But we're talking about slopes. It says it here, but the wording is probably not the wording that you use. What do you say for the slopes of perpendicular? What do you guys say? Yeah. What's the word? Opposite reciprocal. In here it says negative reciprocals. It does not mean it's negative. It just means opposite. Negative means opposite. And then over here it says if we have a slope of m, then we do negative 1 over m to be the perpendicular slope. That should do m1. Okay. So we're going to find the slope-intercept form of two equations. One, both of them are going to pass through the point 2, negative 1, so that's our point. And then one of them is going to be parallel, one of them is going to be perpendicular to the given line. So the very first thing we need to do is find the slope. That's the first thing we need to do. I'm just going to write that over here, my slope. Also, I'm all about doing the least amount of work. I want the shortest way of finding the slope. And I look at this equation. And this equation is in standard form. Now, I gave you a formula on the back page, or on the previous page, which Gavin's about to tell us. I gave you a formula that you can just look at this and find the formula, or you can just find the slope. Negative A over B. Now, if you don't have that memorized, every single time you use it in your assignment, just write negative A over B each time. That's going to help you remember it. So when it's in standard form, I just do negative 2 over B is negative 3. And negative over negative becomes positive 2/3. So my slope for parallel is 2/3, same slope. So we have the slope. We're also given a point. What form do I put it in? We have the slope and a point. What form do I put it in? Point slope. If we don't have that memorized, write it out. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So y minus my y1 is -1 equals m is 2/3 times x minus 2. I can simplify that. Y plus 1 equals 2/3 parenthesis x minus 2. Alright, I'm going to reread my directions. Find the slope-intercept form. So am I done? This is point slope form. Now we have to change it into y equals mx plus b. So my next step is let's distribute this 2/3. So y plus 1 equals 2/3 x. Oh no. I have to multiply a fraction times a whole number? Without a calculator, how do we do that?
You put it over 50.
Say that again?
-2 over 3. Instead of like you change it.
So I cannot change the value of -2.
Oh,
Whatever's sitting here still has to be -2. What do I put here over a 1, right? It still has the same, the value has to be the same. You were thinking of common denominator. Oh, you were thinking of cross?
no, it's not.
Yeah, that's what you were thinking of, yeah. Okay, so see this big dot right here? You don't want to fall in, so go straight across. And you multiply straight across. And we get -4/3. That's why we're going over it, because people forget stuff. Okay, now, subtract 1. Oh gosh. I'm not allowed to take a fraction minus a whole number. I need to rewrite that whole number with common denominator. How many thirds? -3/3 is -1. So I got y equals 2/3 x minus 7/3. That took a very long time. That should not take that long when you do it without my talking. Okay. Second part is perpendicular. So we're going to do perpendicular slope. So our original slope is 2/3. Do I use this same slope for perpendicular? No, I do opposite reciprocal. So opposite and flip it. -3/2. Point slope form is next. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. If you don't have it memorized, write it every time until it's memorized. Remember, we talked about you guys all being mathletes? And in order to know how to do it later, you have to do it over and over and over again. Just like, what was my example? Was I going to play basketball? Is that what my example was? I couldn't remember. I changed it up in my classes. So if I want to play basketball, I have to keep shooting hoops every single day, and I have to make them in. So that's why I keep writing the formula over and over again. So y minus my y1 is -1 equals my new slope, -3/2, then x minus 2. So y plus 1 equals -3/2, x minus 2. It does ask for for slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to have to take -3/2 and multiply it by -2. Remember to multiply? Put it over 1. Is there something special that's happening here? What, Xander? Yeah, you could either simplify it before or after. If you don't notice it can simplify, then you'll be like, oh, well, that's 6/2. Oh, wait, 6 is divisible by 2. Or maybe you notice ahead of time and cross those out. So y plus 1 equals -3/2 x plus 3. Where do people make mistakes? Forgetting to change it to a plus sign. These are the mistakes I see. Just silly mistakes. And then finally subtract that 1, and because that became a whole number, yay, I don't have to worry about fractions for this one. We have our answer. Alright, so your assignment is a worksheet. I'm going to hand it out. And when you do your worksheet, you show all your steps, just like I did in notes. The worksheet is exactly like notes, so unless you completely just memorized everything that we did, have your notes handy. That way you can refer back to them.